Hey, Brightside Detectives, we really need your help here. These riddles are to be solved as fast as possible. Look at these two people. Both of them seem to be in grave danger, but only one of them is actually risking his life. Which person is it? The gentleman with the cane is out of danger. He'll figure out that the edge of the cliff is ahead with the help of his cane. As for the man engrossed in his smartphone, he might not notice the edge of the cliff and fall down. While swimming near the shore, Mark has come across 3 young ladies. What the guy doesn't know is that only one of these women is not a mermaid. How can he understand who is who? Well, the answer is quite obvious. The guy should dive and check which one of the girls has legs and which 2 are sporting tails. Look at these 2 doctors attentively. Only one of them is a real vet. Which doc is it? The real vet is wearing gloves. Each of these 3 prisoners is hoping to escape one day, but one of them might do it in the near future. Which one is it? The guy who's peacefully reading a book must be planning an escape. Do you see that poster on the wall? It's likely covering a hole. Look at the ground right beneath it. There's some sand from drilling. Maria got lost in an enchanted castle. While looking for a way out, she entered a room filled with similarly dressed gentlemen. They were all cheering for the king. Oh, maybe he could help Maria get out of the castle. But how can the girl figure out which of these men is the king? The king is the man on the right, sitting next to Maria. He's the only one who's looking out the window while everyone else is looking at him. In search of a treasure, you come to this crossroads. Which direction should you pick to find the treasure? The answer is actually carved on the stone. Turn the inscription upside down, and it'll say South. David woke up in a hospital with no memories whatsoever. Soon, 3 girls rushed into his room. Each of them claimed to be his only sister. Can you help David figure out which of these ladies is telling the truth? David's real sister is the girl in the middle. Look, they both have identical birthmarks on their hands. Michael was diving when he realized he was about to run out of oxygen. He saw 2 caves nearby. Which cave should he choose to have a chance to survive? He should opt for the left cave. Have you noticed those bubbles of air coming out of it? It means there must be some dry land inside the cave. An elderly lady called the police to report that her neighbor, a young woman called Gina, seemed to have disappeared. The woman hadn't seen her for a few days and got worried. When the police arrived at Gina's house, they managed to unlock the door and found Gina inside, tied to a chair with her mouth covered with a scarf. When she could talk again, she told the police that 3 days ago, a robber had broken into her house, tied her, and taken all her money and gadgets. The police officers didn't believe Gina. Why? Look at the date on the calendar, over there on the wall. See? It's the same date as the one on the calendar at the police station. But if Gina was tied all this time, who was changing the dates on her calendar? Three friends, Kathy, Mark, and Lauren, gathered together to catch up on their latest news at Lauren's place. At one point, they decided to play hide and seek. When it was Lauren's turn to look for her friends, she easily found Mark. But even with his help, she couldn't spot Kathy. Can you help Lauren find her friend? Kathy took her task seriously. Look, she's hiding in a trash can. Megan invited her friends to a restaurant to celebrate her birthday. They had a lot of fun. Megan got the best birthday present ever, a ring with a large diamond. But suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. After several minutes of total confusion, the lights came back on. But Megan's ring was gone. Look at the image attentively and try to figure out who stole it. It's the waiter. Look at the glass he's holding. He must have put the ring inside. Now there's much more water in it. It's the year 2158. Jim is repairing the roof of his garage. At one point, he slips and falls to the ground and breaks his leg. But the next day, Jim is already walking in the park, looking perfectly fine. How is it possible? Jim is a robot. See that red light blinking over his left ear? They must have repaired him really fast. Marta was walking through the park near her home in the evening. It was dark and there was nobody around. Suddenly, her bag was grabbed from behind and the person bolted away. Marta took off after them. She was pretty sure this person was a woman, but she couldn't make out her appearance or clothes. The woman disappeared inside a school building. When Marta ran inside, she saw 3 teachers. The girl looked at them attentively and soon figured out which one had taken her bag. Can you do the same? The woman in the middle wouldn't be able to run with the cast on her leg. The one on the right doesn't have anything in her hands. Where would she hide Marta's bag so quickly? But the woman on the left has a big shopper bag on her shoulder. A real teacher wouldn't need to carry it in the classroom. A wealthy businessman was kidnapped right from his house. The detective who arrived to investigate the case found nothing strange inside, but a mysterious note with a strange set of symbols written on it. There are 3 suspects: Eric, Ellie, and Colin. Can you help the detective identify the criminal? The culprit is Ellie. Her name is the one coded in the note. Susan worked in a clothing store that sold expensive designer items. One day, she discovered that someone had stolen a pair of pants. Look at the people who were inside at that time. Try to figure out who the thief is. It's the guy on the right. If you look attentively at his legs, you'll see the pants peeping out from under his jeans. Newlyweds Maria and Daniel went to a tropical island on their honeymoon. They stayed at a luxurious hotel. But one day, when they returned from dinner, they found out that someone had broken into their safe and stolen Maria's jewelry. There were several suspects: a maid, Maria and Daniel's neighbors, and the hotel manager. But the maid claimed that she hadn't cleaned any rooms on the newlyweds' floor at all that day. The neighbors said that they had been on an excursion all day and had just returned. And the hotel manager stated that he had several important meetings with clients and hadn't left his office. Can you figure out who the thief is really quick? The neighbors stole the jewelry. Have you noticed a bolt cutter in their bag? Why would they need it on an excursion? David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and the unconscious man was taken to a hospital. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case had 3 suspects: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said that he had been putting tiles on the roof when the accident happened. Ryan confessed that he'd been sleeping under a tree. And John claimed that he'd been laying bricks at that time. Who's lying? Alex was the one to hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't be putting tiles up there.
Detective Tina received an emergency call from the local museum. Someone had stolen an exclusive scarab brooch from ancient Egypt. First of all, Tina checked all security cameras. This is what she found. Can you spot the thief just by looking at these 2 pictures? See this guy? He's holding an open paper cup in the first image, but in the second image, the cup has a lid. The guy hid the stolen brooch in his paper cup. Detective Tina hurried to the crime scene. When the brooch disappeared, the museum security system locked all visitors inside the building. But the guards didn't find the suspected person among the visitors. How did he escape? Have you guessed? Take a look up at the ceiling. See the shoe prints on the statue? The thief climbed this sculpture and escaped through the window on the roof. Tina went to the roof to search for some clues. Can you see any? The thief left the cup on the roof. There's a coffee shop name written on it. Bright Cup. Tina can visit this place and check the security cameras. Tina arrived at the coffee shop, located just nearby the museum. Unfortunately, they didn't have security cameras, so Tina questioned the staff. Kelly, the barista, said, "Sorry, I don't know this guy. I'm just trying to do my job." Mike, the manager, said, "This face looks familiar, but I'm not sure where I saw him." And Phil, the guard, said, "Sorry, never saw him. You can trust me. I have a perfect memory for faces." Tina knew for sure that one of them had lied. Can you spot who exactly? Kelly, look at her iPad. There's an incoming call from her boyfriend. Take a closer look at the contact photo. It's our thief. Therefore, Kelly is an accomplice in the crime. Tina told Kelly, "I'm afraid we should continue this conversation at the police station." But Kelly ran away through the backyard. Tina followed her and ended up in a dark basement. She got lost and found these 3 cages. The first cage is covered with fire. There are huge ice cubes all over the second cage, and the third cage is full of venomous scorpions. Tina has to choose one of them to get to the surface. Can you help her choose the safest option? The cage with the ice cubes. She can get cold, but it's still safer than the other 2 cages. The police caught Kelly and brought her to the station. During interrogation, Kelly told Tina 4 facts. First of all, this guy's name is Alex. Secondly, he's my ex-boyfriend. We don't get along anymore. We went to the same college and met in history class. And finally, I don't know why he'd stolen this stupid brooch. One of the facts is false. Can you guess which one? The fourth one. Look at Kelly's tattoo. It's identical to the stolen brooch. She definitely knows something about the stolen item. Kelly confessed that the thief might be hiding in an abandoned castle site outside the city. Tina went to check it out. But anyone who wants to reach the castle should go through this tangled maze. Can you tell which one of these 4 paths will bring Tina to the castle? The first path leads to the pond with crocodiles. The third one leads nowhere. And the fourth way goes back to the beginning. So Tina should choose the second path. Tina entered the castle and saw a room full of ancient artifacts. She spotted the thief right away. What about you? Can you see him? This mummy is holding a cell phone. Alex ran away to the basement and Tina followed him. Unfortunately, the door behind her slammed shut and she got stuck. Can you help her break the code to escape? A calendar on the door says, "You force heaven to be empty." If you read the sentence again, you're going to hear a 7-digit code. U, 4, 7, 2, B, M, T. In the next room, Tina got stuck in another trap. The creepy voice explained, "If you press the right button, I'm going to let you go. But if you choose the wrong one, you'll stay here forever. You've only got one chance to escape. Good luck." Which button opens the lock? Have you guessed? She should pick the black button. This picture on the wall is a hint. The rainbow contains all colors except for black. Tina got out of the trap and entered a room full of old furniture. She noticed 3 odd details about this room right away. What about you? There are books in this burning fireplace, but they don't burn. Take a look at this painting on the wall. This lady's winking. And the reflection in this mirror doesn't match the room at all. Tina found Alex near these underground gates leading to an ancient underground city. He explained that the scarab brooch hid a secret key, but there are 4 different locks on the gates. The guys only have one attempt to choose the right one. Which lock should they pick? The 4th lock is the only perfect match for this key. The guys opened the gates and entered the city. Alex had a map, so he ran away to find the treasures and left Tina alone. She looked around and noticed a 3-way road pointing to the north, west, and east. Tina didn't know where to go. Suddenly, she saw a lady. The local citizens always reply truthfully, but they answer only one question if they're talking to a stranger. What should Tina ask to figure out the right direction? She should ask, if the right direction is not the east, is it west? Here's why. There are 3 possible answers. 1. Yes, west is correct. 2. No, east is the right direction. 3. Neither one nor the other. Tina should go north. Or, Tina might just ask the name of this lady and then introduce herself. This way, they won't be strangers anymore, and Tina would be able to ask as many questions as she needed. Tina went north and finally found the entrance to a cave with treasures, but the door has a combination lock. Can you help Tina figure out the code? Take a look at these figures. The number corresponds to the sum of intersection points. Therefore, she needs to calculate the number of points in the last figure. And voila, the 4-digit code is solved. Inside the caves, Tina met a dragon. It said,
I'm gonna let you in if you can crack my riddle. I'm gonna let you in if you can crack my riddle. I'm quite hot, but if you remove the first 2 letters, I become too cold. What am I?
Have you guessed? The correct answer is spice. When we take away the first 2 letters, it turns into ice. To find the treasures, Tina has to walk through this round maze. She only has 10 seconds to choose the correct way. Can you help her out? Here's the easiest way. Tina found 3 doors in the center of the labyrinth. Each door leads to treasures. But each way also hides some danger. The first path is filled with poisonous gas. There are thousands of toads and bugs behind the second door. They crawl all over the floor and walls. And a hungry lion is hiding behind the third door. Which way should Tina choose? The second way. Although bugs and toads can be gross, they're not dangerous. Tina took the treasures and headed home. Suddenly, she met Alex. Tina decided to trick him and offered him a deal. If you manage to solve my puzzle, I'm going to give you 100% of the treasures. But if you fail, you'll get nothing and go to jail. Here's the riddle. Move just 1 match to point this giraffe in a different direction. Alex failed to crack this riddle. What about you? Here's the correct answer. Pretty easy, huh?
Mr. Wilson's company was having lots of financial problems. One day, the man called the police. He said someone had broken into his office. They stole my safe with all the money I had. The police officers who came to investigate asked the man why he was sure it was they. Well, my safe was too heavy for one person to carry it. The police instantly realized Mr. Wilson was lying. How? If the safe had been indeed so heavy, it would have left dents in the carpet. After the bank had been robbed, the police found the bag with the money in the park. It was lying among cacti. The police officers arrested 3 suspects. It didn't take long to figure out who the bank robber was. Do you know who it is? It's the man on the left. He's the only one with some scratches. They were left by the cacti. The police suspected that Deborah took part in smuggling diamonds out and into the country. But they didn't have any proof. That's why Detective Taylor was following the woman, trying to find some evidence. One day, he noticed that Deborah entered a house. But when she left it, Taylor realized she didn't have any diamonds on her. She must have left them in the house. How did he understand? Deborah was wearing boots with removable heels. The diamonds were hidden there. Look at this picture carefully and try to figure out who the guy's mom is. The woman on the right is definitely human. She can't breathe underwater. But the guy doesn't have any problems with that. He's smiling and looks relaxed. Plus, he has gills. That means the mermaid is his mother. Detective Martin was choosing a diamond ring for his fiancée when a man in a black mask ran into the jewelry store. He made all the visitors lie on the floor and took the most expensive jewelry and money. After that, Detective Martin saw the man get on a red motorbike and speed away. The police officer jumped into his car and set off on a chase. At one point, he came to a crossroads. Where should he go now? Suddenly, Martin saw a car coming from the opposite direction. He asked the driver if he had seen the red bike. "No, I've only seen a silver convertible and nothing else." Then the detective saw a gray car appear from the left. The woman inside said she hadn't seen the red bike, but she'd seen a yellow bike and a group of cyclists. And the man who appeared from the right told Detective Martin he'd only noticed a large blue truck. Where is the robber? The motorbike can only be inside the blue truck. A unique diamond was exhibited in a famous museum. It was guarded at all times, and only small groups of 10 people were allowed to enter the room. After one of such groups had left, an alarm went off. The guards ran into the room and found there a young man. They searched him. There were just several bills, a lighter, a bottle with soda, a camera, and a cell phone in his bag. The guards had to let the man go. But the next morning, it was announced that the diamond had been stolen. How did it happen? The man replaced the real diamond with a fake one and hid the real treasure in his bottle with soda. Mr. Raymond Lopez, a rich businessman, urgently needed his assistant, but the guy was on vacation in the countryside. It was Wednesday when Mr. Lopez sent him a letter asking the man to come to the city as soon as he could. Now it's already Sunday and no assistant in sight. Raymond decided to go and check on the guy. When he arrived, he found out that his assistant was okay and packing his stuff. "Oh, Mr. Lopez, I received your letter just yesterday. I was going to leave in a half an hour," he exclaimed. "You're fired. I don't need people I can't trust. You just wanted to have a longer vacation, that's all." Why did Mr. Lopez think so? The calendar on the assistant's table shows that it's Monday, November 4th. But there's no mail delivery on Sundays. The guy is lying. Someone robbed a bank in a large city. A police detective went to visit the main suspect. "I've been feeling unwell all this week, and I haven't left my apartment for 3 days. I didn't even need food. My fridge is full, you can make sure yourself," the suspect said, and indeed opened his fridge. But the detective realized the man was lying and arrested him. How did he figure it out? First of all, the bread on the table looks fresh. Plus, if the man had been staying inside for 3 days already, his fridge wouldn't be that full. An art expert paid big money at an auction for a painting that didn't cost anything. He knew about this fact. He was also an honest man and didn't have any criminal intentions. Why did he buy this picture? Although the painting cost nothing, its frame was a beautiful and expensive piece of art. After several crimes had been committed in the city, the police decided to visit the main suspect. He lived in the countryside. When the officers entered the house, they found no one inside. They searched the entire place, including the attic, which was in a mess. Then they decided to wait for the house owner to come home. One of the police officers went to buy some water. When he came back, he told the rest of his colleagues there was no need to wait anymore. Why? The attic window was closed when the police first arrived, but now it's open. The criminal was hiding in the attic and escaped through the window. Two people are standing near the river. Both of them want to get to the opposite side, but the boat can only hold one of them. And still, they manage to get across the river. How? They were on the opposite banks. Detective Adams came to the park to have lunch outside in the sun, but his attention was drawn by 3 men running around a fountain. Each of them was shouting, "Thief! Catch the thief!" The detective was confused. Who was the real thief? That's why he just kept watching. After some time, the distance between the men shortened. Detective Adams immediately realized who the real thief was. Can you figure it out too? If the third man was the thief, the second one would only have to turn around to catch him. The same goes for the second man, which means the man running the first is the criminal. How can you put a whole apple into a glass bottle without cutting the fruit or breaking the glass? Put the bottle over an apple tree branch in the spring, then wait until an apple grows inside. Scott, an infamous burglar, came home one evening. Just a day before, he had stolen some very expensive paintings from Mr. Smith's house. He was in the living room when he noticed several police officers approaching his home. Scott gave instructions to his wife and slipped out through the back door. When the officer knocked on the door, Scott's wife told them, "My husband has been away for a week already. He's actually supposed to come home today." At this moment, Scott entered the house. He hugged his wife as if they hadn't seen each other for ages. But the police officers didn't believe them. Why? Look at the dog. If its owner had been away for a week, the pooch would be jumping around, happy and excited. But the animal saw Scott just a couple of minutes ago and isn't showing too much enthusiasm. If it's raining at midnight, can you expect that in 72 hours it'll be sunny? No way! In 72 hours, it's going to be night again. Detective Lee was called to a small family cafe. The owner told him her story. "I went away to the kitchen for a couple of minutes, but when I came back, I saw that all the money from the cash desk had been stolen." At that time, there were only 3 visitors in the cafe. All of them were women. When the detective asked them who had taken the money, each of them exclaimed, "It was her." The first woman added, "The owner is my friend. How could I do this to her?" The second woman said, "I was looking out of the window, drinking my coffee. I didn't see anything." And the third woman claimed she would never steal anything. Who took the money? Detective Lee quickly figured out that the thief was the second woman. First of all, the 2 others pointed at her. Secondly, she claimed that the first woman had stolen the money. But if she really was looking out of the window, how could she know this? During a fire, a bank was robbed. The security guard told the police that he wanted to save a bag of money, but he had to crouch to lace up his boot just in front of the emergency exit. At that moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he came to his senses, the money was missing. Why was the security guard arrested? All emergency doors open outwards. A young lady has the same number of brothers and sisters, but each of her brothers has 2 times fewer brothers than sisters. How many sisters and brothers are there in the family? There are 4 girls and 3 guys in the family. One day, Jessica went for a walk in the forest, but took a wrong path and got stuck in the land of monsters. Several orcs started chasing her, and she needed to hide somewhere. Suddenly, she spotted some places where she could hide. She needs to choose from 3 options: a pyramid where a furious mummy lives, a haunted house, and a vampire castle. Where should she hide? Jessica should choose the castle because it's daytime and the vampire will be asleep. John went back home from a 2-day business trip. When he entered the house, he saw a police officer. He said he had come half an hour ago because there had been an alarm in his house. John didn't believe him and called the police. Why? When John was driving up to his house, there was no other car outside. If the police officer had been real, there would have been another car parked nearby. It means that there's a thief in disguise in the house. 2 days ago, someone broke into Mrs. Robinson's house and stole the expensive jewelry she hid in a secret place only a couple of people knew about. These were Emily, her friend, Jerry, her cousin, and Alice, her niece. The following day, someone left a note in Mrs. Robinson's mailbox. It said, "It was D plus 1, L plus 1, J minus 1, K plus 1, Z minus 1. Who stole the jewelry?" It was Emily. D plus 1 stands for the letter that follows D, which is E. L plus 1 stands for M. J plus 1 stands for the preceding letter, which is I. K plus 1 stands for L, and Z minus 1 means Y. Jack works in a hat store. A hat there costs $10. A customer liked the hat and wanted to buy it. He handed a $20 bill to Jack. Jack didn't have the change, so he asked another shop assistant, Mary, to go and make change in a nearby store. Mary went back and brought 3 bills, a $10 bill and 2 $5 bills. Jack handed the change to the customer. Sometime later, the shop assistant from the nearby store, Ellen, came to the hat store and said the money Mary had given her was fake and insisted on giving her the money back. Jack had to return the money to Ellen. How much money did Jack lose, including the price of the hat? Jack lost $20. He gave $10 as a change, and the hat cost $10. You don't need to count $20 he gave back to Ellen. He took that money first and then gave it back, which makes it 0 loss for him. A red apple costs $1, a green one costs $2, and a blue one costs $3. What apples and how many of them did Jamie buy if we know he spent $3 and 2 bills only? Jamie bought a green and a red one. He paid a $1 bill for the red one and a $2 bill for the green one. Yeah, he could have grabbed the blue one and given the same 2 bills, but have you ever seen blue apples? Harry loves different kinds of bets. Every time he meets his friends, he has a new one. Last weekend, he suggested a challenge. He said that he could place a cup in the middle of a room and easily crawl into it. Nobody believed that he could do that, so Harry's friends were sure they would win. Still, Harry won the bet. How did he do that? He said he could place a cup in a room and crawl into it. He didn't mention whether it was a cup or a room, though. So he crawled into a room and won the bet. Anna left a shopping list for her husband, Jeff. There were only 2 items, but she decided to prank Jeff a bit. So she didn't write exactly what he needed to buy, but wrote 2 riddles. The first item in her list was full of holes, but still could hold water. And the second item had 4 fingers and a thumb, but it wasn't alive. What was Jeff supposed to buy? Jeff needed to grab a sponge and a pair of gloves. Andrew went hiking to the mountains, but all of a sudden, an earthquake started. He fell through a narrow tunnel into a large pit where zombies live. Luckily, Andrew has 3 different elixirs that could help him. The first elixir can make him grow in size, the second elixir can make him fly, and the third elixir can make him invisible. He only can drink 1 elixir. Which one should he choose? He doesn't need to grow in size because he won't make it through the tunnel if he does. The zombies living in the pit can hear and smell, so they'll find him even if he's invisible. He should choose the ability to fly. It'll help him get back. A notorious bad guy caught William, a wealthy businessman, and locked him in a room. "I won't let you out until you double the money I leave for you." And the criminal put $3,000 on the table. By the time he returned, William had already doubled the money, but he hadn't left the room or talked to anyone. How did he do that? He put the money in front of the mirror. Two friends, Eric and Angus, decided to play. On the table, there was a plate with 11 green apples and 7 red apples. Eric was blindfolded, and he needed to grab some apples without seeing them. How many apples should he take to make sure he has 2 apples of the same color? The total quantity of apples on the plate doesn't matter. The main thing is that there are only 2 colors. So if Eric takes 3 apples, there will be at least 2 apples of the same color for sure. 3 students, Amanda, Lisa, and Mark, were having a party the night before an important exam, so they weren't ready for it. The following day, they called the professor and asked him to reschedule the exam. They said they got a flat tire on their way to the university, which was a lie. The professor agreed to reschedule the exam, but he said that if he finds out they were lying, all of them will get an F. The students agreed. Some days later, when Amanda, Lisa, and Mark came to the university to pass the exam, the professor gave them an exam sheet with 1 question only. The students were sitting far away from each other so that they couldn't cheat. When the professor collected the sheets, all the students got an F. What question was it? The professor asked the students which tire got flat. They weren't ready for it, and all of them had different answers. Ashley invited friends and cooked a delicious dinner. When everybody was at the table, she suddenly realized one of her friends didn't like the meal. Who was it? It's Chris. He secretly shared his pasta with Ashley's dog. The police got an anonymous letter about an upcoming heist in one of the museums. To stop it from happening, they need to know the month the heist is planned for. The letter had a secret code. The police couldn't crack it, so they brought it to the detective. What month is the heist planned for? It's September. Star stands for S, pear stands for P, and rain stands for R. There were only 3 letters in the code, but September is the only month that has the letters S, P, and R in its name. There are 20 floors in the apartment building. The higher the floor is, the more people live there. Which floor does the elevator go to most often? It's the first floor. The residents of all floors go down to the first floor. The other day, Mary was rummaging around her grandmother's attic when she accidentally stumbled upon 5 short chains, each made of 4 silver links. She thought it would be great if she combined them all into one big chain of 20 links. When she went back to town, she brought those tiny chains to a jeweler. He told her it would cost her $5 for every silver link that he would have to break and then reseal. How much will the chain cost? Mary could do that for $25 if she told the jeweler to break a link in each chain. However, she asked the jeweler to break all 4 links in one chain and use them to attach the other chains together, which cost her $20. Stephanie got hungry and wanted to boil a 2-minute egg. She had a 3-minute hourglass timer, a 4-minute hourglass timer, and a 5-minute hourglass timer. How can she cook the egg for only 2 minutes? When Stephanie sees the water boiling, she should turn the 3-minute timer and the 5-minute timer over. When the 3-minute timer runs out, she needs to put the egg in the boiling water. She'll have 2 minutes left on the 5-minute hourglass timer. Victoria and Ethan were on vacation. One day, Victoria told Ethan she couldn't go to the beach with him because she was feeling unwell. When Ethan came back to the room to grab his wallet, Victoria was gone. He found her by the pool and asked, "Are you alone here?" She nodded, but Ethan immediately realized she was lying. How? There were 2 glasses and 2 portions of ice cream on the table.
Tomas was washing a window on the 24th floor of a large office building, and suddenly he heard someone screaming. The guy looked outside and saw a lady falling from the 30th floor. But in 5 minutes, the woman was standing on the ground, totally unharmed. How did she survive? Take a closer look at the sky. Yes, it's Superman! He saved the lady. Look at the picture. What's wrong here? Watermelons don't grow on palms. Twin brothers Stan and Ken had been working hard. They wanted to collect money for their mother's anniversary. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to save enough to buy her the car of her dreams. The brothers were very upset and agreed to go shopping the next day and pick another gift. At night, Ken couldn't fall asleep because he got a genius idea. While his twin was sleeping, Ken secretly took all their savings and headed to a casino. It was his lucky night. He tripled the sum. In the morning, Ken put all the money back in the box and fell asleep. Stan woke up, opened the box, and immediately realized that Ken had touched their savings. He didn't even need to count the money to understand that. How did Stan figure it out? In the box, there were large and small bills in the evening, but now there are only large ones. Kelly was traveling and discovered a beautiful abandoned castle. She entered the building and went downstairs. She was taking pictures when someone locked her inside the basement. Kelly looked around and saw 3 tunnels leading to freedom. In the first tunnel, a huge hungry monster was waiting for her. The second tunnel was full of snakes, and the third tunnel was filled with sleeping gas. In 5 minutes, Kelly was outside the castle, running to the nearest police station. How did she escape? She used her headband as a mask and ran away through the third door. Look at these animals attentively. What's wrong with this picture? This little guy on the left is listening to music. 2 sisters went on a hike. Each of them took a box of matches. Nellie put her matches in a bag together with toothpaste, and Shelley decided to store her matches in a bag with nail polish. While the sisters were walking through the forest, they accidentally fell into a huge puddle. When they got out of it, Shelley suggested making a fire to dry their clothes and cook something to eat. Both sisters took out their matches. Unfortunately, Nellie's matches were covered in toothpaste, and Shelley's were in nail polish. Both girls left the matches to dry in the sun and left to collect some firewood. It started raining, and all the matches got soaked. But 10 minutes later, the sisters still managed to make a fire and toast some marshmallows. Whose matches did they use? They used Shelley's matches. The nail polish dried and made them waterproof. If you don't keep it, it'll break. What is it? It's a promise. Susan was asked to describe her sons. She said, "They're all redheads but 3, all blondes but 3, all brunettes but 3, and all pink-haired but 3. How many sons did Susan have? The answer is 4. 1 redhead, 1 pink-haired, 1 brunette, and 1 blonde. Lisa was a famous top model. She was found unconscious in her dressing room during a photo shoot and taken to a hospital. Doctors said she had a severe allergic reaction. But when Lisa came to herself, she insisted she hadn't eaten anything all day. The model's manager was very concerned and interrogated everyone who had been around Lisa. The stylist said she had applied Lisa's makeup and, indeed, hadn't seen her eating anything. The cleaning lady said she had cleaned the dressing room with organic, non-allergenic products. Lisa's main rival, Nora, said she had been watching the shooting all day long. She hadn't noticed anything suspicious. Who's the culprit? It was the stylist. Lipstick was the only thing Lisa could have swallowed that day. Look at the pictures. Which of these people is a risk taker? The girl is risking less. She's sitting on the second floor, and there's a pool below. The guy is risking more. The building he's sitting on is taller. You can see clouds and planes in the sky. What food can you never cheer up? A blueberry, because it's always blue. Haha. Okay, let's move on. There are 5 lemons in a bowl. You take away 3 of them. How many lemons do you have now? Well, you have the 3 lemons you took. King Gerald has a very beautiful daughter named Teresa. 4 princes from different countries came to the kingdom, hoping to marry the girl. But the king decided to check how smart they were and organized a special contest. Teresa was in the center of a 200 by 200 foot room, and the princes were standing on small boxes in each corner of the room. The first prince to touch Teresa's hand would become her husband. But they weren't allowed to leave their places or use anything but their hands or wits. One of the princes figured out what to do immediately. He married the princess. What did he do? He just asked Teresa to come over and touched her hand. You can easily find me on Earth, Mars, Mercury, and even Jupiter, but you'll never find me on the Moon, Venus, or Pluto. What am I? I'm the letter R. Manager George received an anonymous text message. It said a robber had just entered the supermarket where he worked. George hurried into the hall and saw 4 pregnant women in the grocery section. The man looked at the ladies attentively, detected the thief, and called the police. How did he know? The woman on the right is the only one who doesn't have a shopping basket or cart. She's putting groceries inside her fake belly. Imagine that you're in a room with no windows and no doors. How can you get out? Just stop imagining the room. Mrs. Victoria decided to give her grandson Rick an unusual gift for his 18th birthday. She called him into her room, showed the guy her safe, and handed him a corked bottle with a key inside.
Honey, this is the key to my safe. You can keep all the money you find there if you manage to open it. But you must take the key out without removing the cork or breaking the bottle. Good luck.
Rick accepted the challenge and started thinking about the puzzle. What would you do to get the key out? Push the cork into the bottle, and you'll easily get the key. Look at the picture. What's wrong here? The lady's reflection is holding the bag in the wrong hand. Amy had a crush on her neighbor. She went to the local witch, Sally, to ask for her help. Sally said she would make a purple love potion. On the night of the full moon, Sally took a sheet of paper with her granny's love potion recipe. She mixed all the ingredients except for the last one. Suddenly, a gust of wind threw the recipe into the fireplace. Sally was desperate. She didn't remember the name of the last ingredient, but she still knew for sure that the potion should be purple. Help Sally finish her work. She should add the blue ingredient. When you mix blue and red, they make purple. Harry and 3 other video bloggers traveled to a creepy canyon. They wanted to make a video about this mysterious place. They had been filming all day long. In the evening, they gathered around the fire, but it started to rain and everyone went to sleep in their tents. In the morning, Harry woke up, left his tent, and headed to the big bag with food to grab something for breakfast. That's when he discovered that all the food was gone. Harry got angry. He woke everyone up and interrogated the members of his team. Fred said he'd been looking at the starry sky all night. Jane said she'd been trying to catch a Wi-Fi signal to have a video chat with her boyfriend. And Sam said he'd been sleeping. Who is lying? It's Fred. It was raining at night, and he couldn't see any stars through the clouds. 2 students, Betty and Sarah, went for a walk after a very stressful test. They bought some coffee and candies and began to look for a picturesque spot for a picnic in the park. But suddenly, a guy in a mask grabbed Betty's bag and ran away. Sarah and Betty followed him. At one point, they saw a blind man sitting on a bench. He was wearing glasses and had a cane. The girls asked him if he'd seen a person in a mask carrying a female bag, but the man said he couldn't have seen anyone because he was blind. Sarah got very embarrassed, handed him a candy, and thanked him for his help. Then the girl took Betty aside and whispered that the blind man was the robber. They needed to call the police. Betty was very surprised. Why did Sarah decide the man was the robber? If the man was indeed blind, he wouldn't have seen the candy. Will's mother has 3 sons, Fred, Peter, and... Will. It's Will's mother, after all. 2 mothers and 2 daughters spent all day shopping, but they only bought 6 dresses. This was enough for each of them to have 2 dresses. How is that possible? Only 3 people went shopping: a mother, her daughter, and her daughter's daughter. One of them is a daughter and a mother at the same time, and each of the 3 purchased 2 new dresses.
Well, well, you're a private detective. You work in a city inhabited by people and magical creatures. You're going to have a rough night. The full moon is coming. It's the time when people and monsters go crazy. Like any detective, you write down your guesses in a diary so that you can summarize the results later. It's afternoon now. You're sitting in your office. Lightning strikes in the sky and someone knocks on the door at the same time. A pale woman enters the room and asks for help. You notice a bracelet on her arm. Her zombie brother is accused of stealing some jewelry, but she's sure he is not guilty. She asks you to prove it. You arrive at the store. On a broken display case where the jewelry used to be, you notice fingerprints. There are 3 suspects: a werewolf, an elf, and a zombie. Which of them is the thief? The elf. The zombie has skeleton hands, and the werewolf has hairy paws. Only the elf could leave human-like fingerprints. You drive through the streets and see a group of suspicious people standing by the riverbank. You stop and get out of the car. The people notice you and sprint in the opposite direction. You run after them on the sand along the water, but can't catch up. You look around but don't see anyone. Then you figure out it was your hallucination triggered by long sleepless nights. How did you figure that out? You ran after these people on the sand, but you can only see the footprints of your boots. You're walking back to the car and hear some screams coming from the water. A woman is calling for help. You run into the river and swim toward the drowning woman. But when you approach her, you see 3 people. They're all screaming, but only one of them is a real human and needs help. The rest are mermaids who want to lure you to their kingdom. How can you find out who the real woman is? Dive and check who has a fishtail. You save the woman and go to the car. It starts raining. You don't want to catch a cold, so you decide to change your clothes in your apartment. But suddenly, you hear someone scream for help outside. You run out of the apartment and forget to lock the door. A woman is crying in the street. She's standing near the road. In the distance, you can see a car leaving at high speed. The woman says her new car has just been stolen. You get into your vehicle and start chasing the criminal. The suspect gets out of the car and runs toward an abandoned house. He climbs over the fence and disappears inside. You go there after him. In a small hall, 5 zombies are walking in different directions. But zombies don't drive cars. One of them is the thief pretending to be a zombie. Who is it exactly? Zombies don't sweat, but one of the creatures you see is covered with sweat. That's because it's the criminal who has been running away from you. You walk through the streets. There's a warning on a post about lizard people charging at the inhabitants of the city. You remember investigating this case, but you couldn't find these reptiles. Now you need to go to the park. For several days, a large werewolf has been scaring the residents there. You know that the werewolf has a wife, and she is the only person who can calm the monster down and help him return to his human form. You have found 3 girls. Each of them might be the werewolf's wife you're looking for. You ask his wife to approach him, but none of the girls admits she's the one you need. So you have to make your own choice. Do you see some wool on this girl's clothes? It's the wolf's fur, which means she's the wife. She walks up to the monster, hugs it, and the werewolf turns into a human. You're hungry. You drop by a pizzeria. The owner of the restaurant says that someone has taken all his weekly earnings from the safe. The thief wore gloves and left no fingerprints. The video cameras were turned off. You know this pizzeria has had several similar incidents over the past year. Every time, the insurance company paid the owner the entire amount that had been stolen. You're sure the owner took his own money to use the insurance again. Take a look at the office and prove that the owner is guilty. Look at the air vent. Behind the grated hatch, you can see the bundles of the stolen money you've been looking for. There's a long night ahead, and you're feeling sleepy. You go to a small cafe to get a coffee. You give the money to the saleswoman and take the cup with the drink. You take a sip and realize the woman is in danger right now. How do you know that? "Help me" is written on the cup she's just given you. You decide not to leave the cafe and sit down at the table. You can see a man in a black raincoat and hood sitting at the other end of the room. The girl behind the cash register is looking at him wearily. You look at this visitor for a few seconds and realize he's a vampire. What makes you think that? It's night outside. You can see your reflection in the window. The hooded man is sitting by the window too, but isn't reflected in it. He's a vampire. The coffee has cheered you up a little. You're walking along the street, lost in thought. That's why you don't notice an open maintenance hole in front of you. You fall and find yourself in a dark sewer. Phew! Fortunately, you're not hurt. Shh! You can hear some noise at a distance. You turn on your flashlight and slowly walk forward. Soon, you come across a cage with several people inside. They say a mad scientist caught them and put them in this cage to conduct experiments. You need to free the prisoners. But where can you find the key? Carefully inspect the laboratory. One of the jars with chemicals standing on the shelf has a key inside. You take it out and are about to open the cage, but the scientist returns. He tells you not to do this. The people inside are actually mutant lizards. The scientist admits that he accidentally turned regular crocodiles into humans. The scientist managed to catch these monsters and put them in this cage. He's going to turn them back into reptiles and let them go. The prisoners say they are humans, and the scientist lies. Who do you believe? You decide not to open the cage. Inside, next to the people, you can see pieces of faded skin and scales. Snakes and other reptiles shed during molting. You believe the scientist, and he promises that he will soon fix everything. You're back in the street. It's as dirty and uncomfortable here as in the sewer. Nearby, a bolt of lightning strikes something. You hear someone screaming and run there. A multi-story building is on fire. An old lady is crying. She's left her cat in the apartment. Firefighters may not be able to save it, so you decide to do it yourself. You go up to the top floor using an old fire escape. It collapses behind you. Fortunately, you manage to jump into the window. You're in the old lady's apartment. Several floors lead to different rooms. You don't have time to check each of them. The fire is getting closer. Where is the cat? That door is scratched at the bottom. Those are claw marks. The cat must be there. You open the door and see a big black cougar. The fire is everywhere, and you can't go out through the main entrance. There is a window leading to the backyard and a fire escape. Where will you go? The fire escape collapsed when you were trying to get into the apartment. In the window, you see the tree. It has stopped raining, but it's already morning. Tired, you reach your apartment. You turn the key, open the door, go inside, and realize that someone is here. How have you found out? You were in a hurry and forgot to lock the apartment door while leaving. Someone got in and locked the door from the inside, and you had to use the key to open it. You see a human silhouette standing in the shadows and realize that you know this person. Who is it? It's the woman who asked you to help her brother. She was wearing a red bracelet. The silhouette has the same accessory. I came here to thank you in person. The door was open, but you weren't at home, the woman says. She asked, how many puzzles have you solved tonight? You realize it's time to look at what you've got. 0 to 3 points. It's too early for you to go out to patrol the streets of a dangerous city and help people. You need more experience. Practice and solve more logical puzzles. 4 to 8 points. Not bad. You've solved more than half of your cases. The city is grateful for that. 9 to 11 points. You're one of the best detectives in this city. Every day you help people, but you feel that you can do better. 12 to 14 points. The sirens of police cars, screams, suspicious faces in dark alleys. You can't live without it, and the city can't live without you.
You're a special agent, racing at high speed in an expensive car along a 4-lane highway. You're breaking all the road rules because you need to get home before it's too late. You're running a red light, the police are chasing you, and you speed up. Finally, you arrive at your street and see that your house is on fire. You run inside. All you see is flames. There are 2 doors. One of them leads to a safe with secret documents of great importance. A suitcase with millions of dollars is behind the second door. You have very little time to choose what you save. You take the suitcase with the money. Modern safes are fireproof. The secret documents will be safe. You run out of the house and wait for the fire to burn out. A police car pulls up. At first, they want to arrest you for dangerous driving, but they don't. Why? Because you're a special agent, remember? Now you're heading to your office.
It's inside a secret base outside of the city. You meet your boss and she tells you she's going to fire you because you failed your most recent mission. But since you've always had a good relationship, your boss lets you choose any official way of dismissal. It can be your own desire, damage to the company image, or anything else. What will you choose to stay in the company as long as possible? Tell them you want to be dismissed when you've reached the age of retirement. But in the evening, sitting at home, you realize that you're actually tired of working as a special agent. So you decide to choose another, quieter job. You've always liked wood carving. You go online and see that there are only 2 furniture factories in the city. You come for an interview to the first company. You see that the furniture looks very bad, and the boss seems unhappy. The next day, you go to another office. It has beautiful furniture and a kind boss. Now you have to choose which factory you want to work for. Think about it carefully. Of course, you should opt for the second company. There's beautiful furniture and a good boss. Did you think this was a trick question? You go home after the interview and decide to visit a flower store to buy a houseplant. You walk around the town and see 2 buildings. The first one looks beautiful and stylish. Its walls are painted with beautiful flowers. A neon sign is hanging over the entrance. But there are no windows. The second building is old. The paint on the door is peeling. Some windows are broken. Where will you go to buy flowers? You choose the old building. Sunlight gets there through the windows, and this is necessary for plants to grow. You go inside the building and see 3 doors. The first door has a werewolf painted on it. A photo of a vampire is on the second door. A man with a chainsaw is painted on the third door. Which room will you choose? Only one of the 3 is a real danger. There can't be a werewolf since it's not a full moon yet. The vampire is afraid of sunlight, and all the windows in the building are wide open. These 2 rooms are safe. You buy a houseplant and leave. You go to the town square and see 7 people. They seem to be regular passers-by, but you feel there are several suspicious people among them. Find them all. That guy over there is reading a newspaper, but it's turned upside down. It means he's secretly watching you. This girl is holding a radio transmitter with an antenna behind her back. And this old lady in sunglasses seems to be feeding pigeons, but her glasses are flashing with red light. There's a hidden video camera there. You throw the plant to the ground, run away from this place, and hide in an alley. On the wall of a brick building, you see several posters with different girls. A girl named Erica lives in America. Tina seems to be in Argentina. But where's Olivia? The correct answer is Bolivia. You get on a bus and go to your secret house. No one knows about it. You get off at your bus stop and climb the hill. There are 3 bridges across the river. People are standing at the other side of each bridge. One of these people wants to catch you, but who? It's that guy. You've seen him before. He's the one who is reading the newspaper. You cross the bridge over the river and finally arrive at your home. It's a huge round-shaped building. There are round rooms inside. You go to the living room and find a broken mirror. Your maid, gardener, and cook were supposed to visit your house today. The cook says he hasn't been to the house at all today. The gardener's been cutting flowers outside. And the maid said she's been sweeping the corners in all rooms of the top floor and hasn't broken the mirror. Who will you believe? The maid said she had been sweeping the corners, but the house is round. There are no corners here. But come on. The woman meant it as a figure of speech. She was really cleaning up. But do you see this pot in the kitchen? Light steam is coming out of it. This means the cook has actually been to the house today. He lied, which can only mean he broke the mirror. You forgive the cook and decide to walk around the house. You go to the kitchen and think, it's a good kitchen. Then you go to the cellar. This is a good cellar. You go to a good living room, then visit a good bathroom. In the end, you enter a room that is not so good. What room is this? It's your bedroom. You leave the house and get into a new fast car. You're driving along an empty road at low speed and notice there's no brake pedal in the car. The road ends at the edge of a cliff. You can jump out of the car, but you don't want to abandon it. Luckily, you still have some time to think. How can you slow down? You're still moving because your foot is on the gas pedal. Just release the pedal. The car will slow down and stop. You leave the car and feel hungry. You come to the restaurant where they serve buffet meals. You approach the table with strawberries, raspberries, bananas, and apples. Some of these fruits are not fresh. Which? All of the fruit trays are almost empty, but there are a lot of strawberries left. People don't take them, so they're probably not very fresh. After eating, you go for a walk to the beach. You notice two strangers behind. They're following you, so you start walking faster. Finally, you manage to hide behind a big old boat, but the pursuers still find you. How did they do it? You've left footsteps in the sand. You decide to hide in a big old building. You put on a pair of glasses equipped with a thermal imager and walk through the ruins. Suddenly, you hear strange sounds. You turn on the flashlight and illuminate a small hall. 3 zombies are heading towards you. You're about to run away, but then you realize they're not real zombies. How did you understand it? You have the thermal imager. It shows that the zombies' bodies are warm, which means they're regular people. Zombies don't produce heat. You leave the old building and see 3 paths in front of you. The first way leads into a swamp. The second path is covered with hot coals. The third path is swarming with venomous scorpions. Which one will you opt for? You wear sturdy shoes. Running on the coals won't hurt you. After all these weird events, you return home and go to bed. It's time to check the number of correct answers and find out if you're a good special agent. 0 to 4 points. Body and mind training. This is what you need if you want to become a great agent. 5 to 8 points. Do not rush to ask for a secret mission. You haven't finished your special agent courses yet. Study harder to become a world-class agent. 9 to 12 points. You're unlikely to save the world, but you can help your neighborhood. A little more effort and you will learn how to perform secret missions on a global scale. 13 to 15 points. You're a really good agent. All this is a routine for you. You always complete dangerous missions, even if they seem to be impossible to others.
On Monday, Ava got into a car accident. She got a concussion and broke her leg. Still, the very next day, her colleagues saw her riding a bike, and she looked perfectly fine. How is it possible? Look, the girl who got in the car accident has a tattoo on her ankle. The girl on the bike doesn't have one. The girl on the bike is Ava's twin sister. Elio is a student living alone in his college dorm room. One Friday night, there is a party in the dorm, and everyone from campus was invited. In the middle of the party, Caden found Elio poisoned in his room. A detective arrived for investigation. The 3 main suspects were Amelia, Giselle, and Max. All of them denied entering Elio's room. Who is guilty? It must be Giselle. Look at the bed. There's an earring. And Giselle is only wearing one earring that looks the same. Looks like she'd been in the room. Ayla stayed after classes to finish a project with her classmates. She left to get some food from the vending machine, but she found that her wallet had been stolen when she returned. She reported it to the police. The students denied stealing anything. The detective carefully looked at them and realized who lied. Who? Ayla. She went to get some food, which means the wallet was with her and no one could possibly steal it from her. A rich lady, Ms. Geneva Bell, was having fun in a club. In the middle of a party, she felt someone stealing her $1 million diamond necklace, but the person disappeared immediately. She instructed the security not to let anyone out and call the police. When the detective arrived, the security man said he didn't let anyone out, but saw a man sneaking out through the back door. The guard was arrested. Why? Look, there's a huge lock on the back door. No one could leave through that door, so the security man lied. Mrs. Baker was living with her son Robert, who was a college student. She was working every day, and she didn't know that her son was skipping classes. One December morning, as usual, she left for work. When she returned, she realized that her son didn't drive to college, but she knew he had classes that day. How did she find it out? That night was snowfall. When Mrs. Baker left for work, Robert's car was covered in snow. When she returned, it was still covered in snow. If Robert had driven to college, he would have cleaned the car, or at least the windshield. Esme was having a walk in a forest. In the evening, she headed home. There was one path that would take her home, but she took the other one leading to the witch's house. The witch and her grandson, who was staying at his grandma's, welcomed Esme. This time it was Esme's turn to make up a riddle. If they don't solve it, they'll have to give her the cat. I have two classmates who are identical twins. Inez was born in 2003, but Betty was born in 2004. How is it possible? They are twins, but they were born on New Year's night. Inez was born right before midnight and Betty right after midnight. Can you tell which one of these men has a rich wife? The one on the left doesn't even have a wedding ring, so I'd say it's the man on the right. Okay, now look at these two. Who do you think has a dog? It's the guy on the left. Look, his shoes are all chewed. Must be his dog's job. Kaylin and Juliet are going to their friend's house to work on a group project. At least, that's what they told their parents. In reality, one of them is going on a date with her secret boyfriend, and she's going to meet him instead. Can you tell who? It's Kaylin. She's dressed too well for a study date, and no one normally wastes red lipstick for a group project. Amanda spent the whole summer in the countryside at her grandparents' house. Finally, she returned to her town, and two of her best friends came to the train station to meet her. Can you tell which one of the guys is secretly in love with her? Well, considering that the one on the left has flowers and candy for her, I'd say he probably likes her. Sydney and Louisa both failed their history test. Their mother grounded them and made them study all weekend. She was occasionally walking in the room to check on them, so she walked in again. Can you tell which teenager wasn't studying? It's Sydney. She's holding the book upside down. She must have grabbed it when she heard her mom walking in to pretend like she was studying. Look at these guys doing some housework. Who's not smart? That's the guy on the right. It's raining, but he's watering the flowers. Mrs. Riviera is a math teacher. She collected her students' homework, made them do a computer test, and started to grade the assignments during the class. She came across two very similar homework sheets and realized that one of the students copied the work of the other. Here are the students, Asher and Holden. Can you tell which one of them is the copycat? It's Asher. His hands are covered in fresh ink, which means he probably just did his homework right before the class. Mr. Reed came back home at night after another long shift. His wife was still up. He kissed her and went to bed. Mrs. Reed had been suspecting that her husband was cheating on her for a while already, and this time she wanted to know for sure. She decided to check his pockets. The next day, she told her husband that she knew he was cheating on her. Why? Look, there is a pair of keys in his pocket. His keys are hanging on the wall, so these are the keys from someone else's house. Ashley had a birthday party and she invited some friends over. Liliana didn't want to go, so she lied that her mom grounded her and made her clean the room. Ashley was sad but understanding about it. To make it up to her, the next day Liliana invited Ashley to her house to study together and to watch a movie in the evening. Ashley agreed, but at Liliana's house, she understood that she had lied to her. How? Liliana's room is still messy. If she had cleaned it the previous day, it'd be neat. A famous rich writer was living alone in a mansion and never went outside. The only people she ever saw were her cook, her gardener, and a cleaning man. One morning, before breakfast, the cleaning man found her poisoned in her room and called the police. The three of them were suspects. The cook was watching a cooking blog on YouTube. The cleaning man said he just came to start the job when he found the lady. The gardener was in the garden planting some flowers. Who poisoned the lady? It must be the cook. It happened right before breakfast, but he wasn't cooking anything. He knew the breakfast wouldn't be needed that morning. It was summer break, and Ariana's friends invited her to go camping. Ariana wasn't really into camping, but didn't want to admit that she'd rather stay at home and watch TV. So she said that her parents invited her to go to Greece. In reality, she stayed at home and was binge-watching TV shows. Her family sent her a vacation photo. Ariana photoshopped herself there and sent it to her friends. When her friends saw the picture, they realized that Ariana wasn't in Greece. How? Ariana photoshopped herself, but her friends noticed that everyone in the picture except for her cast a shadow. Hallie works at a gas station in a city suburb. It was calm and quiet there. One day, she only had 3 customers. The first one got something to drink. The second one got some chocolate bars, and the third one just paid for gas. One of them was a criminal, and Hallie reported him to the police. Who was the criminal, and how did she understand it? The second man paid with a $25 bill. Such a bill doesn't exist, which means he'd been printing money. It was September 17th, and Annika was finally going to Spain for her vacation. She was living alone, so she sent all of her plants and her cat to her friend's house. On September 27th, she came back home. Once she walked in, she realized that someone was in her house while she was away. How did Annika understand it? Annika lived alone, but look, there's a tear-off calendar hanging on the wall. When she left, it was September 17th, but now it shows September 27th. This story happened a couple of centuries ago. Henry and Caroline were dating, but their families were against it. One day, Caroline's family decided to take her away to another city, but they didn't tell her which one. Henry and Caroline knew it was one of the two big cities nearby, Paris, which was on the left, or Berlin on the right. They agreed that Caroline would throw her scarf away when the train took off, and Henry would find her wherever she was. So here's where Henry found the scarf. Which way did the train go? If you throw something from a moving train, it flies in the opposite direction. Henry found the scarf on the right part of the train station, which means the train headed left to Paris. Spoiler, a couple of months later, he found Caroline there, and they lived happily ever after. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these